Okay, we're having a look at The Chain by Fleetwood Mac today. And this song requires a capo on fret 2, but it also requires something special where we tune our 6th string down to D. So you need your clip-on tuner, and you're going to turn your 6th string tuner clockwise. Like if you look at it from the back like a little clock, you're turning it clockwise about 3 times. And then when you have your tuner on, keep plucking the string and see if you can make it say D. Make sure it doesn't say D sharp like a D hashtag. That's not loose enough. You're loosening the string until it says D. And a way to check that is your 4th string and your 6th string should sound like one big string, because the 4th string is a D and the 6th string is also a D. So that should sound very good together. If it sounds weird when you pluck those 2 strings together, string 4 and 6, then check again with your tuner to make sure it says D, not D sharp or some other letter. Okay, once you have that in tune, tuned down to D, you call that drop D tuning or D tuning. Guitar players do it a lot to get lower bass notes. Then you're ready to go. And you're gonna have to work through measure by measure like some of our other challenging songs. Your left hand is gonna be able to stay in this position for much of, we're just gonna do the intro, not the verse or the chorus or anything. That gets a little crazy. So just the intro, that's like the first 8 measures. So string 2 fret 1 and string 3 fret 2 in the first measure at least, you're able to leave those fingers right where they are, and definitely do that so you hear all that delicious ringing together. With your right hand, you're probably going to have to use your middle finger for some of this, or else well, you could do thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index. So you might be able to get away with that. On the other hand, you might try to incorporate your middle finger for notes on string 1 in this song. Okay? So that's measure 1, and this bass is almost always on the beat. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's a rock song, so that they try to set you up for when the rest of the band kicks in there. Okay, let's move on to measure 2. So, well, actually, measure 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. You had to wait those 4 beats. There's 2 beats of rest at the end there. Actually, it's not rest. 3, 4. It's not rest at all. You're letting those notes ring for 2 extra beats. Then you have this measure. That's a really complicated rhythm after the first 2 beats. So 1, 2, 1, or sorry, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4 and. You have to really study that rhythm. Listen, here, I'll play it again for you. 1 and a 2E and a 3E and a 4 and. And you can also listen to the recording, but it's a little fast. Here's the 3rd measure. 3, 4, bum, bum, ba, bum. That's the last 2 notes in measure 3 and the first note in measure 4. Dun, da, dun. It's a tricky little rhythm. So here's measure 3 again, and I'll play the first measure of the first beat of measure 4. Bum, bum, ba, dum. Tricky little rhythm. But again, notice you're able to keep these fingers down for much of it. In measure 2, you do have that little hammer on to string 2 fret 3, but that's the only note so far that we've had that's not these 2 notes or some open string. Here's measure 4. and the first note of measure 5. Here it is again. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. And again. Remember, that's including the first note of measure 5. So you hear how quickly you have to get into that dot, dot, dot. Here's measure 5. That one's a little easier rhythmically. Now notice when I'm doing my hammer on, I'm hammering on with my pinky too. Let's see, is it possible to do with your third finger? It is possible. It'll create a little bit of a problem in the last measure. You'll see that measure 8. Okay, so here's measure 5 again. And notice you don't have a quick note before measure 6 here. You could just go 1 E and a 2 E and a bum, and then you're in measure 6. Here's measure 6. Oops, sorry. And the first note of measure 7, that has that bump, ba-dum rhythm again going into the next measure. Here's measure 6 again. And the first note of measure 7. Here's measure 7. Ba-da-dum-bum-bum. So not a really fast note going into measure 8, but there's 2 eighth notes there. So 1 E and a 2. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, that's one more time, measure 7. And here's measure 8, my favorite. That little X on top of the note is this. Just taking the side of your thumb and tapping. If you do it up near the sound hole, you get that cool sound because the strings are actually hitting the frets when you do that, when you slap that string. Here's measure 7 again, or measure 8, sorry. And what I was talking about, using your pinky to do the hammer on there, notice here, you need to play string, you could do this. Yeah, you could actually change your fingering there, because in that measure, you're not playing string 2 fret 1, so you could do this. Notice what I'm doing, I'm playing string 2 fret 3 with my third finger and string 3 fret 2 with my first finger, so I can get this note 5 fret 3 and do a pull off to open string 5. Otherwise, you're going to have to use your pinky to do the hammer on, because your third finger needs to be available for that pull off from 5-3 to string 5 open. So it's up to you how you do that. You're going to have to experiment and see what works best for you. You can see the trouble here is going to be transitioning from measure to measure, especially where it goes bum, ba-dum. All right. And that happens from measure 3 to measure 4, to measure 4 to measure 5, and from measure 6 to measure 7, that dun, dun, dun. So those will have to be practiced a lot for the transition. Here's measure 3 to 4, right? You got the bum, bum, bum. And then the measure 5. So 3, 4, 5, that's going to be really tricky to get down. But don't worry too much about the transitions. Just work measure by measure. And let the notes ring as much as you can, make it sound beautiful, and then we can worry about putting them together. I would listen to the song a lot. Listen to the song, even if it's fast, that's okay. Just listen to how those rhythms are. See if you can hum along with it. And just have fun with it. It's beautiful. It's just a really cool song. So hit me with any questions anytime, and thanks for watching.